rogersarnt.
All right. So, welcome to the very first episode of rogersarnt podcast. All right. So, I'm your host, Sar'nt First Class Saeed CRUZ, and I'm excited to welcome you guys to the very first episode of the rogersarnt podcast. Um, Let me just quickly give you some background information. I don't want to take too much of your guys' time, so let's dive right into this. I am a Army medic. I've been in the Army for 15 years. I've been stationed all around the world. I've been in Germany 3 times. So when I was in Germany, I was in Stuttgart, I was in Schweinfurt, and I was in Grafenbeer. And that totaled up to about 9 years. I deployed out of there to Afghanistan. So 10 years overseas total. And if you're wondering, yes, I did get married over there. Yes, I did have a child. Yes, that child was born over there. But I digress. Other duty stations been Fort Wainwright, Alaska. If that's on your bucket list, take it off. Not too much going on up there. But overall, it was a decent time. If you are not an outdoorsy person, you will either learn or you'll die. I've also been to Africa, Djibouti, Africa. I've been out to Ukraine. I've been in Poland for a while. And now for the last 2.5 years, I've been here at the great place, Fort Hood. All right. So I just want to tell you what kind of like inspired me to make this podcast. I think overall soldiers need a voice to kind of like be able to send the message out, send their messages out, because a lot of times we focus on the leaders and what the leaders have to say, and at the end of the day, just like any other corporation is built from the ground up, and who's in the ground? The soldiers, right? Those are the ones thugging it out. So I think this platform is going to be very useful for them and to them. And my purpose is to get their points of view on how they view the leadership should be, or how they want a leadership to be, or get their I guess their experiences on good leadership, on not so good leadership, and kind of like put it out in the ether, so us as leaders, we can actually hear this and and hopefully adapt our style to that. I mean, a lot of us are set in our ways. Like I told you, I've been in for 15 years, and trying to change something is not as easy as just saying it, but there's always hope. Another thing is, I want to share. We're going to talk about, like, we're going to deep dive into standard operating SOPs. We're going to deep dive into the regulations. We're going to deep dive into just scenarios in which the army puts out like milper messages and stuff like that, like things that constantly change, current events, any and everything that has to do with the army is going to be spoken about on this platform. Here on the podcast, we'll definitely go in more depth. If you want to see something visual, well, you can slide over to YouTube, and that'll help out as well. But mainly here on the platform of the podcast, it's going to be more of a deep dive into whatever that subject is. And of course, we're going to do personal takes on the Army traditions, customs, courtesies, and things that you don't really hear about when you're out the Army, and then you kind of learn it when you're in the Army. Let's say, for instance, things that people don't know before joining the Army is, while in uniform, you are not supposed to put your hands in your pocket for an extended period of time. Who knew? Like, literally, who knew? You can't walk and talk on a cell phone. Like, little things like that you just don't know, and these little things are what get these soldiers, especially like the brand new soldiers, it gets them kind of hung up, because these are just things that they've been doing for a little while. Um, I also, like, want to make sure that leaders are also aware of what the soldiers are asking for. I'll also bring leaders on and get their take, because I know leaders have a lot of knowledge. I know the leaders have a lot of experience, like such as myself, I have a lot of knowledge and experience that I need to share with these soldiers, and that's part of stewarding the profession. Like, whether in your civilian world, if you're in the military, army, stewarding the profession is a big deal. I always give the example, especially when I used to teach at BLC. I used to give the example to the soldiers, and if if you are absent and from your place of duty, like you go on leave or something like that, or you have some type of TDY that you got to go on, and your section cannot operate without you, and they're constantly calling you. In my opinion, I think that is a lack of stewarding the profession because all the knowledge should not just be held up in in one person. It should not be bottlenecked. It should be spread out through the entire section. So if you have a 8-man section, hopefully half of those guys at least know exactly what you know so they can pass it down to the other four. So that's kind of like a big deal for me. So if there's knowledge, if there's experience, I want to put it out there. Another thing is we'll be releasing episodes hopefully every Wednesday. I'm still in the army, so it's very difficult to kind of like find time, but I will. One thing I will say is that you're probably gonna get the most raw, unedited version because I don't have time to be going in and editing every episode and stuff like that. So if I said it, it's gonna probably be on wax. So yeah, we'll do that every Wednesday for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever platform is offered for me to publish it. I'll put it on there. And if you want to be part of the crew, if you will, just subscribe, download, so you can get your notifications of any new content that I put out. All right, so like just like I said, like the structure of the podcast is basically going to be I'll cover subjects such as counselings, NCOERs, any latest tattoo policies, current events, and whenever the platform calls for it, we'll do a Q&A and stuff like that. If you let's say it takes a while for the platform to kind of like take off, but you still have a question or something like that, you can always email me at rogersarnt dot no sorry rogersarnt at gmail.com, and that's Roger Roger Sarnt at Gmail, right? You can put all your questions and use that avenue of approach so you can kind of like give a type of dang it, I don't even know what I want to say. No, just if you got any questions, comments, concerns, any suggestions for the platform for the podcast that you want me to cover, I'll do that. Just put it in there and we'll work on that. All right. So a couple places that you can find us is find me. I don't know why I'm saying us. I guess all my multiple personalities,
Bruh.
but definitely you can find me at on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at rogersarnt.com or at rogersarnt. I'm trying to do the TikTok. I'm kind of old, so if the TikTok works, then I'll be on TikTok as well. But definitely Facebook and Instagram, which is kind of like the easier ones for me to use. But yeah, um, it's been the first episode. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me on the Roger Sarn podcast. Like I said, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and then we'll also be doing YouTube videos. Please like, subscribe, download, leave a review or comment. And I want to start off by letting you guys know the motto for now is you don't have to embrace the suck if you got the right tools in your ruck. All right, so this is our first class cruise, and I'm out.
Roger Sarnt.